Hey guys, Kevin here. This week I wanted to go over how to structure how much to eat and what your total calories are in relation to specific macronutrients of protein, fat, and carbs, and how to go about structuring how much to eat of all three of those macros. So first off, we still want to cover those high priorities first. This is a later concept to make sure that we really have to have food quality in line, sleep quality, hydration, digestion, and then we can kind of focus on some of these specifics of total calories and how it relates to how much to eat. So first off, I'm not really as concerned about how many calories you're getting throughout the day. I'm more concerned with how our food choices and what we eat relates to our hormones. Specifically, cortisol, naturally occurring HGH, naturally occurring testosterone, and insulin sensitivity. So first off, we're going to base these numbers off of body weight. I want you guys to structure our numbers that we pick for protein, fat, and carbs off of the body weight that we want to get to. So just to put it simply, if we're a 170-pound female and we're trying to get down to 140 pounds eventually someday, then we want to go off of 140 pounds. On the other end of the spectrum, let's say we're a 160-pound male, we're trying to add a lot of muscle and trying to get up to 200-pound male, then we're going to go off that 200-pound number. Those are some extreme examples, but just kind of think about that as we're going through these numbers. So first off, protein. So for our body comp track, we're going to try to get a minimum of 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. So for a 140-pound female, that's going to be about 105 grams minimum. For a 200-pound male, that's going to be 150 grams minimum. For the performance track for protein, I want to get anywhere from 1 gram to 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. So if we get under 1 gram, then we're going to have some negative effects of not having enough protein, a little bit of muscle breakdown in your body using that for fuel. Whereas if we get over 1.5 grams per pound of body weight, then we're just going to have diminishing returns where we're not going to see the benefits of having a decent amount of protein, and we might have some ill effects on our organs if we're getting a crazy amount like 3 grams per pound of body weight or something like that. So let's say for a 200-pound male, that's going to be the upper limits of maybe like 300 grams per day, right there. Past that, we might see kind of some diminishing returns from getting too much protein there. So if we have a decent amount of protein, we're going to release some naturally occurring HGH, some naturally occurring testosterone, and by default, we're going to have better insulin sensitivity, just mostly because we're going to be having a little less carbs. If we're getting a decent amount of protein, we're going to be more full. On the contrary, if we don't get enough protein, not only is there muscle breakdown, but your cortisol levels are going to rise. And as a lot of you know, if we have elevated cortisol, throughout the day, throughout our weeks, throughout the months, we're going to retain a lot more body fat and lose a little bit of muscle. So that'll be protein. For fat, I know this is kind of a sensitive subject for a lot of people. I just want to have some general recommendations, then we'll talk about how to adjust fat and carbs at the end of this video. So for body composition, I'm looking for about 0.75 grams per pound of body weight. So for 140-pound female, let's say about 105 grams. For performance track, we're going to range anywhere from about 0.5 grams to 1.25 grams. If we get under these numbers, there's also going to be some ill effects. Our body's just not going to function as well as it would. We're not going to absorb nutrients as well as it would. You can do a lot more specific research if you'd like to on not getting enough fat, but there are some bad things that happen if we don't get enough healthy fat. We've covered over what those healthy fats that we can get them from. Lastly, for carbs, I want about 0.75 grams for the body composition track. I'm not looking to go too far over that, and we definitely want to get that after our workouts each day, right there. So if we're on the performance track, going to be a lot bigger of a range. I'm looking for about 1 gram to 2 grams per pound of body weight for carbohydrates. Again, getting that around our workout times, but a little bit wider range. So you see these two for our performance track for fat and carbs, there's going to be a little bit wider range there. The reason being, it totally depends on what your performance goal is, and it totally depends on what type of person you are, if you're carb tolerant or carb intolerant. So if we're a little bit more of trying to gain aerobic capacity where our endurance isn't very good, but maybe we're pretty strong, we're definitely going to be higher to this range on the fat, a little bit higher on the fat and lower on the carb. If we are one of those athletes that has pretty good endurance, but maybe needs to get a lot stronger, get a lot more powerful, we're going to have a little bit less fat and a little bit more carbs. Again, take that with a grain of salt. I want you guys to test that and adjust that over time. We're trying to build a good base of nutrition here so that we can really see how things affect us. Personally, I know that I'm carb intolerant. I don't process carbs very well, so I'm gonna have higher fat and lower carbs. And when I say lower, I'm still getting 200 grams a day, something like that after my workouts. Whereas if you take an athlete like Casey McAllister, a lot of you guys are familiar with him, he's really trying to focus on getting a lot stronger, getting a lot more powerful, but he's got that really good endurance, so he's gonna be way higher on these carbs and way lower on the fat there throughout the day. Now, if we tally up these numbers, for my examples I was using for the 140-pound female and the 200-pound male, for a body composition, it's going to be a minimum of about 1765 is what I got here for the ladies, and then 2550 for the guys. Adjust these numbers according to your body weight, but that's going to be a minimum. I see this all the time where people, think that calories in, calories out is the most important thing, that they just get a way low amount of calories. They think they're gonna lose a bunch of weight off of that. What happens when we go dip way below these numbers is you just stress your body out, and your body thinks that it needs to hold on to these energy sources because you're almost basically starving it. So we don't get, these positive things happening with our hormones. We'll have elevated cortisol levels from not eating enough food. We're not gonna get, naturally occurring HGH or testosterone to make us more lean and a little bit more muscular. And then our insulin sensitivity is not going to be great either. For the performance track, this is also going to be the minimum example right there. So if your goal is truly performance and not body composition, very important, especially with the Open coming up. If that's your goal, or if you have another competition coming up, that we need to make sure we get a decent amount of fuel in. And this is the minimum example. If you were to get more on the higher end, these numbers would go up quite a bit. Kind of the idea with performance, especially with the Open coming up, is we want to kind of figure out how much clean fuel we can put into our body without gaining excess body fat. So you can slowly build that in over time and add a little bit of calories as you go, add some more protein, fat, and carbs as you go, see if it affects you, see if your performance is increasing, and trying to get a little extra fuel in your body without gaining extra body fat. So keep in mind, hormones are the most important thing regulating these hormones. I'm gonna cover another video later in this challenge that covers sleep and how sleep is really gonna affect all four of these hormones, but always keep in mind that that's the most important thing here. That's why we're trying to get quality food in, that's why we're trying to get quality sleep in, is hormones are gonna dictate how lean you are and how well your performance is, not total calories. Calories are just, kind of way lowest on the totem pole right there. So please let me know if you have any questions. Happy to help. I know some of these numbers are confusing, but try to just implement the concepts. Thanks, guys.